Sony.
What's up, Joe?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. And we haven't started yet. It's saying my internet connection is unstable.
Kind of goes with the operator.
Yeah. Man, I'll be tired. I'm glad we get done with Zoom, man. Hello, Tim. There he is.
Greetings, everybody.
You're turning sideways, Tim. What's going on here, man? Stand still. You had me want to go like this with you.
Did it straighten up?
Huh?
Did it straighten up?
Yeah, you're straight now, man. But I'm
Oh,
crooked.
okay.
I'm crooked now because I was turning sideways with you. How you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you for a while.
I know. I've been
Miss
all
us all getting together, man.
right. We'll get there one day.
One day. Still got that disc for you, man. Waiting to give it to you. With Van Fleet.
Uh-huh.
I still got it.
He might be a Nick by the time I get it.
Why they talking about trading? Oh yeah.
Nah, they ain't gonna. They don't want to trade him. The Knicks
Nice.
probably just gonna offer him more money.
Yeah, I don't see them trading. Was he in the last year of his contract?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's. I tell you, I don't know what he is. What is he, about 5'10", 5'11"? Is he any taller than that?
I think he's about that, but they got him listed as 6 foot. But I think he's really like 5'10", 5'11".
But he's gotten thick over as he got older, but he's still quick, and he can use his body to get them layups over them big guys, man.
He had to get thick, otherwise they would have been pushing him around.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. But he's still quick,
Uh-huh. What do you think about James Robinson?
James Robinson?
Yeah. So he's the kid from Rockford.
He's the kid from Lutheran, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see him play. Has he already played?
Yeah, he got the record for the most yards from an undrafted running back in his first game.
Really?
Yeah, and then Sunday he got 101 yards.
Wow. And you know what? Who's he playing with?
The Jaguar.
Right? Yeah. I'm gonna have to watch. You know what? I'm gonna have to make a point to try to watch him. I kind of forgot. Read about it in the paper, and then I kind of forgot about him. So I'm gonna have to take a look at him because I'd never heard of him until it came out in the paper that he was trying to make the team.
Yep.
But hey, that's nice to have some hometown guys making it.
Yeah. And he got a uncle that I'm friends with. I think he tried out for a team when he was younger too. Matter of fact, I think it was the Jaguars.
Do you remember what his first name is? Is he a Robinson?
Yes. Well, you talking about his uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah, his uncle was a Robinson, but since he become an adult, he changed his name to his dad's last name is Hanson.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We had, remember back in the day, you're too young, but we had Ira Matthews. We had I think they all went to East, didn't they? They were all like, when he said that really good football team, several of them made it to the pros.
Okay.
That was the last good thing that East ever had, really.
But they were, how many made it on that, Bert? 2 or 3 of them, didn't they?
They had a great team in the 80s, too. Polk, I think. There was a couple that made it. I know that from East.
Yeah.
They had a good basketball team about 6 years ago.
Yeah, something like that, yep. Seems to be right. Yeah, but, other than Mr. Freddie Van Vliet, we haven't really had a national champion from Rockford.
Not a national champion, but we had, back in my day at Auburn, we had quite a few kids from Auburn that made it. Some made it into pros, but a lot of them played major college basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
Jasper Robinson, well, Jack didn't make it too far, but he should have. But
yeah,
we had some pretty good athletes back in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, East, man, we had some really good track guys. Yeah, we had some really good track and field guys. Cargill was one of them. There was a couple, Joyner, I want to say. There was a few from East that really went far track and field. And I'm sure if we look back, there's probably more than what we realized. But
oh yeah, because I'm years, like you're younger than me. But if you go back, the paper was doing that with the basketball players, and they did it with the football players. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, oh man, I forgot about that guy. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
I was happy when they showed Deacon Jones he used to run the Washington Park Community Center when I went there, and he had played with the Globetrotters for a while, and I think he went to the University of Wisconsin. But he ran the Washington Park, Concord Park Community Center for when I first started going there.
Well,
so we had a celebrity in our midst. Everybody had heard of him, man, because of the Globetrotters.
right. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember, going as a kid, seeing the Globetrotters and thinking that was the coolest thing I've ever seen, and
having him as the guy that's sitting in the middle of the gym floor doing stretches in his warm-up suit and stuff like, and you're 10, 11 years old. Yeah, that's a big deal right there.
Oh yeah. So what do we all have tonight, Joe? Just budget?
We mostly Jaime stuff, yeah. Mostly Jaime stuff.
All right.
Hey, Bert.
Yep.
Is it too late to get a sign? A yard
It is
sign?
not too late, man. I can drop you off a few.
Okay,
Yeah, you just want me to drop you off a few at your house? I can definitely do that.
that's fine.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Angie? All right. I got you on the list.
Okay.
Thanks.
And we got here.
You have
Thursday.
5:30, couple minutes after 5:30. It's 5:34.
All right. Well, I don't know if Dorothy's coming. Who else we missing? Fellers, right? Just Fellers, and so we have a quorum. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to call to order the Democratic Caucus of September 21st, 2020. Roll call. Tim Neighbors,
Here.
Dorothy Red, Angie Gorel,
Present.
Bert Girl,
Present.
Dave DeSoni,
Present.
Dan Fellers, and Jaime Salgado.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. We don't have minutes. We don't have any speakers that I know of, so we'll go past that. Go right to the committee reports, and let's start with the, let me get rid of everybody else, then we'll go to Jaime last. Do we have anything from ops?
No. Not
Just
that
about, the only thing, no, I don't have ops. Sorry about that. But from personnel and policy, the only thing that's on that one is that to make November 3rd a holiday so everybody can have it off at the courthouse.
For voting. Okay, that's it, huh, Angie?
As far as I know, that's it.
Okay, how about Public Works? Dave or Bert?
Yeah, I got a few things. I'll whip through them here. Basically, got a resolution here.
Move dog.
Regarding, annual service agreements with the various engineering companies throughout the town. It's something they do on an annual basis for things that are as needed throughout for the county. It's a cost not to exceed $75,000. It's just annual housekeeping stuff. They use whatever entity, specific to what their things are going on. Another one we have is a resolution execution of engineering service agreement with Willett Hoffman to provide bridge analyses for various county, city, and township structures. There's no cost with that. It's just technical things just to have them on the docket. We've got a resolution awarding bid for gasoline. Typically, the county spends plus or minus of 150 grand. They're budgeting 160,000 this year. They went in, they combined their bid with the city of Rockford to get a better price. Resolution authorizing the order bids for upgrading streetlights throughout the county. This was one that we asked to be rejected a few weeks ago. They tweaked their bid specs, and this is a cost of $103,000 to upgrade the luminaires along this isn't for street lights. This is just for all overhead and street lighting. William Charles, I believe, was a low bidder for $103,000. We're going to have a little quick meeting before board Thursday. There's two items that the bid openings won't be till tomorrow. So I don't have the exact dollars, but one of them will be for road repairs out on Guilford Road, east of Mulford, around Featherstone. They're doing some drainage ditch repairs, some curb and gutter, and some street light improvements. Like I say, the bid openings tomorrow. And the other one will be for out where we got the road plates out on Riverside. We had a failure on our underground culvert out there east of Forest Hills. And they're looking for the bid opening on that tomorrow as well. I'll know more about that after Thursday's meeting. That's all I got.
Any questions for Dave? Seeing none. I see, who else is in zoning besides Fellers?
I am.
Angie, what do you got? You got anything for zoning?
What I have for zoning is that we have, David, you might have to help me with this one. It's to be laid over. There's a map amendment to rezone 2.28 acres from the CC Community Commercial District to the CG General Commercial District. The request is by Clark's Seal Coating and Stripping, and that's located at 4501 Auburn Street. Where's that at? Do you know, David?
Well, I saw that on the zoning. I know of that. I know they're popular around. They run like a seal coating and asphalt, striping and seal your driveway and parking lot type stuff. 4500 has got to be right there around Auburn High School area.
That's what I thought. That must be that group that's across the street from where Pierpont goes into.
You know, well, I know they have an existing place, a couple places down from the two-wheel inn, right there by maybe Day Avenue.
Yeah, that's what I think
It's not
it is.
2-something acres. It's I mean, I don't know how much land is there, but I don't.
It's asking for 0.28 acres.
Okay, 0.28, a quarter acre then.
Yeah, it's a quarter acre, so that's not that bad. Anyway, zoning passed it.
Yeah.
And the next one is a map amendment to rezone 11.18 acres from IG General Industrial. And you know what this is? In Roscoe Township, they have the car museum out there in Roscoe. And what he wants to do is add 11.18 acres from IG General Industrial to the CG General, because he's expanding his business out there. That's a real nice attraction for that area. I'm sure you guys have all been out there, haven't you?
I haven't, but I've been wanting to go to.
You need to go through that. It's amazing what he's got out there.
Yeah.
The other thing is to be voted on is for the Winnebago County to put up a resolution against what it is. It's a hog farm that will be a slaughterhouse, and they'll probably have a couple thousand hogs on that property at one time. Roscoe, Rockton, Sherlin, all those small townships that put in a resolution to be sent to the Department of Agriculture not to allow that to be in where they want it out there. And it really shouldn't be out there. Maybe Jim has the four page folder that shows you. I've never seen hogs lined up like that. They never leave the building. But then they have a problem with the hog waste of what happens to it, where it goes. And so there's about 5 different townships out there that are sending in resolutions, and they would like to have Winnebago County as a whole send in a resolution not to have that hog farm out there. We've been through this before. This is similar to, remember when they wanted to run that railroad through Calvary Cemetery out there around the town? And they weren't really railroad people, they were highway people. So it's basically that type of a resolution to put out there, and we really should.
Yeah, Jim has spoke about it quite a bit. So, any questions?
And he knows.
Yeah, he does.
He knows.
Yeah,
And as far as I can tell, that's about it. And that'll be a resolution on us, that yes or no type of thing. Yes, go ahead and do it, or no.
Okay. Any questions for Angie? Seeing none. Economic development. Bert, you have that one?
I do. I believe we're meeting this Wednesday, so no report.
Okay. Public safety. This,
I don't see any report on it. I don't remember us having a meeting.
I don't either.
Hmm.
Yeah, you did the P&P already, so that's pretty much it. Any questions for anybody on any of the topics? Are we all pretty much set? Then we'll go to Jaime because I'm sure he has a lot to give us. Jaime, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Would you like to be someplace?
No, I'd like to be in your guys' company, so, you know.
Good answer.
But anyways, no, we've had a finance meeting. I know Bert and Joe is on there. I know some people have chimed in here and there, but for the most part right now, we're proposing the recommendations right now, the way it sits. There's 13 recommendations. I believe Mr. Chapman sent those off. I'll probably email them to everybody. I don't know if he sent it off to all county board members. So I will send that off to everybody. But essentially what they did, what we did was we went through and kind of did 13 projection recommendations, both on revenue enhancements and expenditure reductions. So they went through and met with departments and everything based on what they were looking for their budgets. Originally, we were at $6.4 million gap. If you guys recall, there was a $6.4 million gap. We narrowed it down to, with using host fee money, about $1,900,000 for PTEL and some revenue enhancements, and then some reductions like PSB building. There were some reductions there. Certain areas, we actually got it down to $1.3 million, right, deficit. If we weren't to do anything else, that would leave us with a 1.3. So then, you know, I had Mr. Chapman, Mr. Thompson kind of go back and reassess what that likelihood would be if we were to capture that 1.3. So we would have like a balanced budget. There's a sheet out there that explains what departments would be hit. But essentially we would see a $1.3 million reduction across the board for departments. I've had them get feedback to see how people feel on that and to see if there's been any complaints or any hardships, concerns, questions. I haven't heard anything. I know Judge Doherty from the circuit judge, he said that he was in favor of the budget and he would tighten his belt. He would try to make it work and feels that it's a fair budget from his standpoint. So essentially we would have a balanced budget right now, what's being considered. Now, you know, we have to decide and vote as a county board, you know, on one of the biggest things is the property tax. If we want to, I think we should take it. It's a good time to do so, to narrow the gap, but also make those decisions on, you know, the $1.3 million cuts for departments. You know, that's another piece. So we have a balanced budget, right? So that's where kind of the budget stands. And I will have Mr. Chapman send out the information. I'm assuming he's going to send it out tomorrow before tomorrow's meeting. That's what's going to be presented. We did vote on Thursday on those 13 recommendations and budget amendments. So at least we had direction going into it. Doesn't mean that, like I said, things are going to be talked about. We'll vote on it. And, you know, hopefully the budget on Thursday will get passed based on the recommendations, which would be a balanced budget for that matter. So stay tuned tomorrow. Once again, we'll have that presentation. We'll be there and Mr. Chapman will walk us through the numbers and where we're going to end up based on the current recommendations that are out there. I know that Mr. McDonald and Mr. Arena are not in favor of the property tax. So it's going to be something that we'll have to discuss and decide if that's the case. You know, it increases the 1.3 million to an additional 900K, which was put us 2.4, 2 point, around there. So, you know, that's another thing that we have to think about. So hopefully, you know, with this budget, the way it's presented, we have good dialogue. We come out of it with a good direction. So Thursday, it's just a matter of us just voting on it up or down from that standpoint. The other piece was there was a budget amendment coming through from the veterans. They've requested an additional $43,000 for this year. With the whole COVID thing going on, they've seen their cases and going up on for veterans, giving assistance and stuff like that. So that's a budget amendment. They're requesting additional $43,000. It was voted up directly. So it's part of that discussion that we'll have to make a decision as well for this current budget. So those are the two topics of discussion that will happen on Thursday. Tomorrow is just the budget presentation. So every county board member is up to speed what's going on and can ask questions, and we can have that dialogue. So that's pretty much where we're at. Unless anybody has any questions regarding the budget, I think that, yeah. So,
Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Chairman. Jaime, you said the PTEL increase, if we was to take that, that's 900K?
that is correct.
Okay, and then the new property, what's that roughly?
I think it's like about 163, 190.
Okay, so without the PTEL increase, it's a 900K difference.
Yes. So
Okay.
essentially right now, the way it is we, with the 900,000 and all the revenue enhancements and some cost reductions that we went through the budget, we're at a $1.3 million. And then we proposed essentially across the board, 2.2% reduction across the board for departments, was presented to the departments, and we didn't hear from them complaints. Obviously, you know, it's tightening of the belt, but, you know, essentially if that comes through, then we would essentially have a balanced budget, you know, for this fiscal cycle coming up, where we wouldn't have to eat into the reserves.
I have two questions.
Go ahead, Angie.
Number one, thank you. Number one, can I assume that the Sheriff's Department is also going to take a cut of 2.2%?
Yes, they are.
Good, because that would really be an insult to the rest of our departments if he didn't chip in and what we were doing was taken away from them to give to him.
Yeah, and they are taking a hit, Angie. It's the, you know, we try, this is where we're said, we went back and we asked the departments like, hey, this is what it would look like. Are you good with it? And most of it, you know, based on what Mr. Thompson and Mr. Chapman kind of alluded to, you know, there's a lot of turnover where, you know, essentially with attrition, they could, you know, cover some of that gap there. Don't know about the sheriff, like what he's going to do, but yes, his budget will be reduced 2.2% as well.
Will he then be coming back and asking us for to raise it 2 months from now?
No, I don't think. No, he wouldn't do that in this situation.
Okay. All right. My other question, it's not a question. Those of us that have been on the board for some time know that we have not had any type of an increase whatsoever.
Are you doing?
Probably for the last 15 years. Am I correct?
That is correct. Bert is
Oh,
shaking his
okay. Hang
head.
on a second, then.
And the thing is that's why we're in such a hole, because gas bill has gone up, the electric bill has gone up, just keeping up our property has gone up, everything, supplies have gone up, and yet we have maintained the same constantly, so we wouldn't get the taxpayers upset with us. There are certain levies that really should be raised. The sheriff's levy should be raised, and let them know that it's the sheriff's levy. we also need to raise the levy out at River Bluff Nursing Home. They talk about selling it. Well, first of all, we need to raise the levy because so much money's been taken away from them from our last governor. That is and then with the virus right now, it's going to be hard for them to get caught up unless we raise that levy a little bit. And I'm not talking to raise it a lot. I'm just talking just minimum, because it'll bring in enough dollars that we can probably cover next year's budget even better if we do that. I'm sorry they're crying about don't raise the taxpayer, don't raise. Well, we're serving the taxpayer. And just like you and I, we have to get a paycheck every now and then, and we need to get a pay raise every now and then just in order to meet our everyday bills. And we don't want to keep insulting our department heads by telling them you got to back off, when every one of them, their expenses are going up. So then it goes back to the employee, and we start nailing the employees so that the whole Winnebago County doesn't have to raise taxes. Is it fair?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah, no, and from our, from our perspective, we haven't had a tax levy increase or the CPI taking the PTEL increase. I don't know how many millions, Bert, we've lost over the years. It's been pretty significant, about 20 million, that we could have recovered from that. I understand the whole aspect about not raising property taxes because we are one of the biggest in the nation and the state, whatever. I completely understand that.
You guys you just keep listening to that propaganda.
No, I know. But what I'm trying to explain though is that in this situation, we're trying to, have a balanced budget from this perspective. But also from my perspective is for every $150,000 home, you'd be paying about $9 increase in property taxes, right? So if you spread it over 12 months, it's like $1 that you're.
$1. That's what I'm saying. That's how it's going to have to be presented, because we just cannot continue to go backwards and go backwards and go backwards until we get into bankruptcy. We have to start looking forward. And with the COVID virus, this is going to put us even further behind. And the next time we need to be prepared, like it will happen again. It might not be this virus, it's going to be something else. Who knows what we might hit? We don't have a reserve. We have no capital plan. We have nothing. And until we start building those up, we still have nothing, and we're going to end up in a bigger hole next year than what we are right now.
No, and absolutely. And from my perspective, we don't have the authority to go in like the city of Rockford and impose an utility tax to raise, millions of dollars to offset their budget, just like we do. But all our discretion that we can play with is the property tax levy that we have, the PTEL, to absorb some of that. And one of my things too is like I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big fan of sales tax a lot because it's a lot what you can accumulate, right? And we've seen it, but it's a good thing, for certain things that we're trying to accomplish with a sunset clause. But if you think about it, it raises millions and millions of dollars, right? Where here we're just asking county-wide perspective, $900,000 increase, which, is very minimal on a regular person. Sure, it does increase your property tax by about $9 for every $150,000. But from my standpoint, from a day-to-day, spread it out over 12 months, less than $1. So that's where I'm coming from to kind of balance where we're at. It's unpopular. I know Republicans try to push back on it and say that they don't want no raise, and their constituents are telling them, don't raise my property taxes or anything like that. But that's where it's at. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow. You'll hear more about that, and we'll walk through everybody the budget. But that's where it's at right now. Don't know if you guys have any additional questions regarding that.
Hey, I think Dave had his hand up.
Thank you. And I'd like to say a comment or two and whatever you can speak to her. I mean, my question was, let's just say this 2.2% cuts across the board. Is that based on 2021's requested budget?
Yes.
And what I'm getting at is, what if a particular budget asks for a 5% increase and you said, no, you're gonna have to do a 2% cut? Are they still getting 2.8% increase?
Yeah, so what they did was, so a lot of the departments submitted a budget request, and then Mr. Chapman went back and talked with them and essentially agreed to a number that was recommended as part of it. So to answer your question, to say maybe some of these budgets increase by 5% and then you take 2, so it leaves you a 2.8. Could that be a possibility? I don't know unless I go by department, right? My assumption is no, because they went high. We lowered the price on, essentially a budget. We came to a place that we would be able to negotiate on that. So, but I can't tell you for certain what amount, of an increase. I'm assuming probably a 2% would be at a high level in some of these different departments because of the contracts that they currently have with, whether it's ASME or the unions negotiating. So you could see that, but I couldn't speak to a particular number of increase, but the maximum that I could see is probably a 2.5% increase.
Okay, and yeah, I'm just getting at, like, I mean, I don't know. Like I say, I understand they negotiated. If someone asked for whatever, 6 million and Steve negotiated it to no, we can do 5.2, and that 2.2 would be a reduction off the 5, that whatever the negotiated balance was. And then I was wondering, does anybody talk about, I mean, maybe nobody wants to talk about it, or is afraid to talk about it, but what about raises for non-union employees? I mean, I don't know what they got last year, if anything, but at some point in time, your morale goes out the tubes when you're not at least giving your employees a little something.
And I think from my perspective, and don't quote me on this, but I believe Mr. Chapman factored that in. I don't know what percentage, but there is a slight bump for non-union in there factored in. But I don't know what that percentage was, but I know that there was discussion, just like you said, with union contract negotiations where they're seeing a 2%, 2 point whatever. So there was a question about non-union contracts. And my assumption, and having discussions with Mr. Chapman during those meetings, was that he actually incorporated an increase. I don't know what percentage off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. But I believe there is a increased percentage. I want to say maybe 1.5% is my understanding, what I remember, but I would have to go back to my notes.
Is that below the cost of living?
I would assume probably along the lines of that. I don't know if it is or not.
They should at least get the cost of living increase.
And just, I know I spoke to it at maybe finance a time or two or whatever it was, Jaime. Don't know how much you wrote it down or whatever. Myself, under these times with the 2.2 across the board cuts and your other 13 suggestions for balancing the budget, I myself couldn't support the PTEL tax increase, and I would support that if it comes down to that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, that's about everything. Jaime, you got anything else? Closing comments before we call for adjournment?
Just bring your questions tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have good debate, go back and forth, and hopefully, we come to an agreement on some of these terms that we kind of for the budget process. Just real quickly, there's a lot of concern, and Angie knows this, and it's been on the radar, with the nursing home cash flow wise, that could put a big impact to our, that's why we're trying to see if we can get to that magical balance budget of those 2.2% reduction. So we're not impacting our fund reserves, and because of the cash flow issues that we have at the nursing home. So that's why we're kind of pushing that. So that's one of the things in the radar with the finance is kind of looking at in detail after, because this whole COVID thing and everything that's going on. Hopefully, that we'll be able to work with Angie and the board out at River Bluff to kind of look at the financials with Mr. Thompson, trying to figure out what we can do to help them, support them, with anything that's going on over there, and try to create some sort of efficiencies, options that we can work with them to get them up to speed, and to reduce cut the bleeding, per se. So that's going to be one of the biggest hot topics. The other piece of it is continuing to look at the sheriff's department. Hopefully they can, give us more information, quarterly analysis on that, work with them and some other departments as well. There's a couple other items that, we're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive and trying to see if we can help them or, see what some issues are out there. But the nursing home is next on at bat that we have to look at. So hopefully we can, help them out one way or the other, and get them to move in the right direction. And not saying that they're not doing a good job, it's horrible out there, whatever the case. We don't know exactly what the problems are out there. But I think it's a good attempt to figure out what we can do to support them, and go from there. Because if we can solve some of those issues out there, it provides some budget relief for us and some cash flow issues out there that we are experiencing.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I had to turn me off for a while. I got a barking dog. He must have saw a squirrel in the backyard. Oh, there he goes again. Sorry about that. But anyway, the nursing home, first of all, it's on a levy. In order to sell that or close it, you're going to have a public vote on it. It's going to have to be a referendum in order to close it. Number two, with what's going on right now, we have a problem because of the fact that we cannot bring in any new residents. If we do, they have to be quarantined for 14 days before we can actually admit them. They'd have to be quarantined, and we now have one of our wings that we're going to be able to do that. But the second problem is, and this is a nationwide problem, people, is getting nurses to come in there. Also, I want you to think real hard. Right now we have about 150 residents. Where will you put them? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Where will you put those residents? And no one has really offered to go out there and work out and see truly what's going on, to see how they could. In fact, she just got in a new person in finance, and that's going to be working out pretty good, hopefully, once he catches on. Nursing homes are so much different than like hospitals. They run differently than the general business does, or your everyday life. And so it's important that we keep this place, because one day I'm going to be out there. One day the rest of you might be out there. You don't know, but you want a place to go, especially if you have no family to take care of you, or your family's too old to take care of you. So it's important that place stays working, and it takes all of us to work together to keep it that way. So use your heads on what you can do about keeping that place open, please, because I want to go in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and Angie, just a quick follow-up. Once again, I'm not in the notion to say that we're looking at closing it. We're looking to take drastic decisions, outsource anything or any of that nature. I think right now what we're trying to do is figure out what actually is truly the problem. And I know that it's the nurses, one of the things that we currently are experiencing. That's why we've outsourced to multiple institutions to provide us nurses and stuff like that. So that has come down the pipeline. But I think—
Are you aware of how much we're paying for a nurse to come in out there at any time during the day or night? We're paying $22 an hour. where our people are only getting 12 to 17. I'm talking about CNAs now,
Yep.
not the top nurses. That's another story. And it's ridiculous because that money that we're spending to have nurses from out of this area come in here and pay them that kind of money, we could hire 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
And what it is also, a lot of the new people, especially the young ones, they don't want all the benefits because don't you know they're never going to get sick. And so they don't need those kind of benefits. We also have employees out there, and they have to then take the benefits. We have employees out there that are working 2 and 3 jobs. And so the more money they can have in their paycheck, the happier they're going to be. We are not paying them what they deserve. If you ever worked out there for one day, you'd understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that for the people in the kitchen and everything else. So it's something that needs to have a real hard look at. But we as board members need to go and also see what's happening, and ask how we can help them out. I think that's really important. Instead of them saying, certain ones saying sell the places, that's not the answer.
No,
It's really the answer.
and that's my understanding. It's like, what can we do at this point in time with currently what the situation's out there? I know that Pat went online and said that she desperately needs help and support. So I think that's kind of like a notion to actually, whether it's the board, the River Bluff board, whatever that wants to look into it, and finances be part of the piece. Like I said, I know Mr. Fiducia was wanting to do a joint committee meeting to kind of look at that as well. Whatever makes it feasible, whatever. I just know that, we have some issues with receivables all the way to obviously staffing and, with residents and stuff like that. So just wanted to bring that up, that we really, as a county board, we need to, like you said, be aware of what's going on and try to steer it in the right direction. So,
You also need to understand that nursing homes aren't going to take them. Nursing homes only have a couple of actual Medicare beds. And when their time runs out, because Medicare is only good for so many months in a nursing home, they have to go on Medicaid. They have no beds for Medicaid patients, and the majority of the people out at River Bluff are on Medicaid. So keep that in mind also.
absolutely.
There is no place for these people to go unless we euthanize them all and then take no one else in. But it is our responsibility.
Okay, we're not going to euthanize anybody, Angie. I don't think that's going to
Are
happen.
you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah. Anyway, any other questions? All right.
Good.
So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Just one more thing.
Oh,
Jaime, thank you for working so hard on that budget. I know you've been working for us instead of against us, and that truly is appreciated. Keep up the good work. Now I will make a motion to adjourn.
well, I've been sad. I want to thank Jaime too, not only Jaime, but both our administrators. They worked very hard on this. I don't agree with all the stuff we're going to do with it, but I can't argue with the fact how hard everybody works. So I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Dave?
Ditto on all that too. Thank you, Jaime, and the rest of the staff putting that budget together and doing the tough work.
I agree.
I will give you one more thing. My kids are moving back from Texas. Why are they moving back from Texas? Because they don't pay any insurance for real estate, not insurance, they don't pay any taxes on real estate. So why are they coming back here? Because the cost of living is so much better when they don't have to pay real estate tax. You want to figure that one out?
Because it's Texas.
And not only that, it's called user taxes.
Yeah.
They
Usually
are,
license
their
plates
taxes
are
are
like
double
$5-6.
ours because it's all user taxes. And so, no, they don't have to do it, but that's what happens.
And it's Texas. They still think the Civil War is going on down there.
But see, my kids have only been down there for 12 years, and they can't wait to get back here where
I was
you can
down there
live.
for 12 minutes and I had enough of it.
Yeah, good for you.
I see Robert E. Lee painted on the side of a building in downtown, whatever city I was in. I said, well, that was enough for me. They don't even know the Civil War is over. So, anyway, I thank everybody, and I guess we have a meeting tomorrow. We'll be together again, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay. Hey, is that all going to be on Zoom, Jaime?
Yes.
Okay. See y'all tomorrow. Thanks, you guys.
See you
Good.
guys. Good night.
Good
Night.
night.